Good afternoon. This is Omar Ramos from ORWARE, and in this video I'm going to be explaining how I more or less created a screen scraping application that will be run from the command line. And what this program will be doing is coming to the Brawley Chamber of Commerce site as well as the El Centro Chamber of Commerce site. And I've broken down the program into two steps. One is a caching step, which will allow me to create a copy. So for example, if I click on this category, advertising and media, this takes me to this page. My program will take a copy of this page and store it. And I'll kind of explain the reason why I'm doing that versus just kind of calling it on the fly each time and getting a new copy um, in just a moment. So the program will go through all these categories and extract a local copy and save that. And it'll do that for the El Centro Chamber site as well as the Brawley Chamber site. So that code is handled here in the cache.php file. So what this file does is it comes in here and it has a list of two websites, and it goes and gets their contents. And then for each of the categories that it finds, so it kind of does a little search here. So it searches for this. It's an ID tag with this prefix, mn-ql-. And I came up with that by analyzing the source code for the page. And as you can see here, there's, for the first category, it has mn-ql-1. For the next category, it has mn-ql-2, and so on. So if I can filter the results, out of all the HTML on the page, if I can filter out just these links, then I'm good to go for finding the subpages and saving a copy of those. So that's where we find that search string, and so long as we continue to find that search string as we progress from the top to the bottom of the document, we're going to go ahead and do some additional processing in here to extract the actual link itself, which is this part right here. So we'll save each of those links inside this business categories list, and then we're going to loop through the business categories. We'll extract the link, we'll find the actual link itself. Okay, so let me correct myself. So this business categories list will actually be storing probably this entire anchor tag, but it won't be storing the actual link itself. So in this sub list, it gets processed further. And at that point, it's able to pull out the actual link, and that's what gets stored in this links list. So in the link list, we then pull out a couple nodes, and then we call sleep. So one thing we do want to prevent as whenever you're doing a screen scraping application is you want to be kind to the site owners and not throw a bunch of requests at their site, because if you could imagine, as a human, you could click on a variety of links fairly quickly, but a program could actually click on a whole bunch of links really, really fast, because it's a program and it's operating as fast as the computer. So to be nice to the site owner, we put in a manual sleep. So essentially right here, sleep 10 causes my program to pause for 10 seconds before continuing on to the next link. And that way we're not overloading their servers, and we're just being conscious of being a good Samaritan, well, not a good Samaritan, but a good neighbor, and not overloading their servers. So at this point, we're getting the contents of the category page, and then we're saving that in a file. So I've already done that ahead of time And here, all the files are stored in this cache folder that I've created. So we have the main page and then all of the subcategories. And then it continues on with the El Centro one and all of its subcategories. So the next step after we've created our local copies is to process. So in this process file, and there's a couple things here I can go ahead and get rid of at this point. Don't need this. Okay. So if there is a businesses.csv file already there, we're going to go ahead and unlink or delete it. And then we'll go ahead and open up a new file. And since this is a CSV file, you can think of that kind of like as a very simple Excel file. And these are the headers that I want to place in the first row. So I'm going to go ahead and put those as CSV first and then close my connection to this file. And we're going to go ahead and add more to it in just a moment. And then next I create a list of all of the files that match this particular format. So essentially what this allows me to do is in the cache folder, all of the subcategories have this underscore in them. And so there's text in front of the underscore and text after the underscore, but the main page doesn't have any underscores. So this filter allows me to get all of those subcategories. So for each of these subcategories, and let me go ahead and take this out as well. This is from a past example. So this is all that this file needs, or should need. So this gets a list of all those files of subcategories, and then we process them. So we create this new chamber file and go at it. So we have our chamber file over here. It gets the contents of that subcategory, and then it opens a connection again to that CSV file. And then we call this function string get HTML from the page content. We clean it a little bit after we find the text inside of the mn-page title ID. So what this allows you to do is get the category name. And just to give you a visual, when I click on advertising and media, here is the category name here at the top. And you can see here that it has an ID of mn-page title. So this line here is converting this HTML code and giving me just this part inside, advertising and media. So I can then use it as I'm storing the data. Then for each of the listing content rows, which corresponds to this section, so this includes the name of the company, the address, city, state, zip, as well as a phone number. But you can see that each of these is kind of stored in a different area. So for example, the name of the business is stored in something that contains an mn-title class. The address is stored in this mn-address class, and the different portions of it have their own classes as well. So there's the mn-address1, which has the address info, and then the mn-city state zip, and then if we break it down further, mn-city span, mn-state span, and the zip span. So what my code does here is just kind of starts extracting and storing that information. So we have the category for that business, we have the company name, which was stored in that mn-title area, and then I'm storing a short version of it as well, and you'll see why in a little while. And then I kind of add an output a note as you know it's processing, and then I store the rest of the info, the address, the city, state, zip, and phone. And then I go ahead and write all this data to a CSV, which is going to all go into this businesses.csv file, And that's it. I close the file and we're done. So let's see how this looks. So here I already have a command prompt open, and um, there's a variety of different ways to create programs. You know, you have web applications, desktop applications, but sometimes for simple utility type stuff, the command prompt works wonderfully. So here I'm going to make sure that we're calling PHP on the process.php file. So we'll see how that goes. So as you can see here, it's working fairly quickly, and then it's done. So we could ignore these little notices, but just to give you an example, we have writing listings to CSV file for shopping and specialty retail category, creating new chamber instance, and um, continuing on to the next file. So right here at the end, this is the El Centro Chamber Sports and Recreation one. If we go up, this is when it was processing the El Centro Chamber Specialty and Retail. And then if we go up, we can see it's processing food and beverages for El Centro, and so on. So at this point, you can see that there is a newly created businesses.csv file. And if I open up this guy, you'll see the flat, it's a flat file, um, and we have our header row, and then we have each of our categories, along with address information. Now, if you can imagine, it would have taken a long time for staff members to kind of go in and create their own Excel file manually. Whereas I built this once, I can run it again whenever I want to and regenerate the data, get it updated, etc.